The Commission on Elections resumes voter registration today. And to tell us more about this, we have in the studio COMELEC Spokesperson Director James Jimenez. Good morning, sir. Thanks for being here so early.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We do appreciate it. Okay, during President Duterte's last SONA, he called for the postponement of the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections from May 2020, possibly to October 2022. Do you think this might discourage voters to register early?
Well, we know that it will. It's happened in the past, and there's always been a sort of dip in the interest whenever a postponement is announced or whenever a postponement is imminent. But still, people come, and normally they come usually during the last few days of registration, when they realize that that the registration is about to come to an end. A lot of people try to beat the deadline, so we're not really all that worried. In fact, it's probably a good thing that this announcement is coming out early, because people now can plan better. It costs a lot of money to run for barangay office, and people appreciate knowing whether or not they're going to have to shell out the money now or maybe 2 years down the road.
Right. Well, as we said, the registration is until September 30. Does that mean pagkatapos ng September 30, hindi na pwede mag-register as a voter?
Well, normally, dapat hindi na. Kasi magkakaroon na ng halalan supposed to be ng May, no? And under the rules, you stop registration a few months before the actual elections. But again, with the possibility of suspension coming up very large, then it is also possible that the deadline will be moved.
Right. Okay. So, just as a refresher for our viewers, who is allowed to register for main elections and who can register for SK and barangay elections?
For the SK and barangay elections, if you're 15 to 17 years old at least, then you can already register as an SK voter. If you're 18 and above, then you're eligible to register as a regular voter. But if you're 18 to 30, then you're also voting in the SK, but it's not a separate registration for you. So basically, two groups of people can register: 15 to 17, registering specifically and only for the SK, and 18 to whatever, 18 and older, to register as regular voters.
Okay, for the 15 to 17-year-olds, right? Sure. Some of them will be old enough to vote in the general election 3 years from now. Will they have to register again for that?
No. If you register for the SK in the first instance, but the next election comes around and you're already 18 and above, then you don't have to register anymore.
All right. Okay. Very clear. So aside from those wanting to register for the first time, the COMELEC also will cater to other concerns like transfer of record and corrections. Tell us more about this and the process they will have to undergo.
Well, this is a full registration period, which basically means that we're gonna accept all sorts of applications, including, as you mentioned, applications for reactivation. That's when you haven't voted for 2 or more elections consecutively, and then therefore your registration is deactivated, and so you can file for a reactivation now. You can file for a transfer of registration, which means that you're moving from one place to another. And then, of course, change or correction of entries for people with misspelled names or wrong birth dates, or in some cases, even the wrong gender being assigned to your record. So you can have all of that corrected now. That includes also people who were previously married or who were previously single and now have had a change of status. They want to update their records, they can do that now as well.
All right. And where do people go for this? Sa COMELEC office lang ba mismo, or will you have satellite sites?
Well, the registration primarily happens sa COMELEC offices, no? Local COMELEC office doon sa opisina sa city or municipality kung saan kayo nakatira. However, magkakaroon tayo ng mga satellite registration sa mga mall, sa mga eskwelahan, sa mga barangay hall. And ito'y para mapalapit yung proseso sa pangkaraniwang Pilipino. And we also encourage groups to apply to host satellite registrations. Specifically, we're talking about schools who want to bring the process closer to their students within their campuses.
All right, yeah, definitely. Making it easier for the citizens is something we really appreciate. From what time to what time will these locations be open?
Registration is open from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and we have registration days open from Monday to Saturday. We've left out the Sundays for now, so we're registering from Monday to Saturday, inclusive of holidays.
Okay, so ano yung mga requirements at documents na dapat ihandang ng mga aspiring potential voters?
Wala naman, kailangan lang nila magdala ng isang valid ID. Valid ID. They don't need to bring anything more than that.
It doesn't have to be a government ID, it can be a school ID?
Right, as long as it's a valid ID. For people who are transferring their registration, though, you have to bring proof of residence in the place where you're transferring to, which means that your ID cannot be from the place that you're transferring from. Huwag din pinanggalingan mo yung pinaglipatan mo. Kailangan mo din magpakita, halimbawa, for SK voters, you need to bring your birth certificate para ma-verify natin yung edad ninyo. You have to be 15 or older in order to be eligible to register. Para naman dun sa mga may mga correction of entries, then you have to prove that the correction you're registering is the correct one. Halimbawa, a birth certificate showing the proper spelling of your name. That will be looked for by the election officer to make sure that your correction is pushed through.
All right, how many new voters are we looking at here potentially?
Oh, we're looking at about 2 million additional voters for the regular voters, 18 and above. And for the youth voters, we're looking at about 1.5 million additional voters.
Right, okay, you're going to be very busy.
Yes, we are.
Okay, lastly, what is your message, reminders to the public?
I'd like to remind the public, of course, that registration starts today. It'll happen from Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., inclusive of Saturdays and holidays. Make sure that you register. This is the opportunity to become part of the whole political life of your nation. And mahalaga pong maging botante tayo para tayo ay makasali sa usapang sibil, no? Kailangan tayo maging bahagi ng pagbabago ng ating lipunan para sa ikabubuti nating lahat.
All right, well said as always. Thank you very much for being here, COMELEC Spokesperson Director James Jimenez.